Hello, and welcome to this lecture on qualitative methods, observations. After this lecture, students will be able to understand the reasons for using observational methods, explain the advantages and disadvantages of different observational techniques, and explore the strengths and weaknesses of qualitative observations. Observational techniques, also called ethnography or field research, is a method of collecting data that involves observing people, usually in their natural settings. And this sort of observation can take the form of participant observation, when the researcher is an active participant in whatever activity they are trying to observe, or all the way towards the other end of the spectrum, which is non-participant observation, when the researcher remains aloof and separate as possible from the activity that is being observed. Now, this participant to non-participant observation is not a binary, it's rather a spectrum. You can be towards the participant observer side or towards the non-participant observer side, but you're always going to fall somewhere in between the fully participant observer and the fully non-participant observer. Participant observation allows researchers to get a better feel for the mood or vibe of what is happening and provides a better emic or insider's perspective as to what's happening, while non-participant observation creates less reactivity bias and makes participants more comfortable, and they may act more naturally if you are not as much of a participant. However, non-participant observation does not give the researcher as much insight and emic perspective as being more towards the participant observer side. Field research or observation, like other forms of qualitative research, tends to be more toward the rudimentary or emergent research design side. It typically tackles broad, substantive theoretical questions and can be used for exploratory or explanatory work. It consists of primary observation in a natural setting and uses non-random selection, usually purposive or perhaps convenient sampling, for either a variety of reasons or theoretical reasons. There are 6 main stages of field research. First, select a topic. Second, select a setting. Third, gain access. Fourth, introduce yourself and establish your role in your setting. Fifth, record your observations and gather data. And 6, develop analysis. However, the recording and developing of analysis typically take place simultaneously or iteratively, where you record observations, analyze, record more, do more analysis, so on and so forth. First, we need to select a topic. This consists of deciding what it is we are interested in researching, what sort of questions are we trying to answer, and what is our unit of analysis and population of interest. Once our topic has been established, we need to select a setting. This is where the research is going to take place. And so we need to ask, where is the best place to answer our research questions? Where can we get access to that population? How much do we plan on participating versus how much do we plan on just observing? We should make sure that whatever setting we choose should permit the observation. And the location and population may be determined based on convenience, purposive sampling, theoretical reasons, or for the sake of diversity among the subjects we are looking at. After we've selected a setting, we need to gain access to that setting. So how do we go about getting into or around the group we want to study? In formal organizations, such as a business, a nonprofit group, something like that, getting permission may take the form of seeking out an authority figure and asking them if we can participate or do observations in their group. This person, this formal person, is called a gatekeeper. For less formal organizations, such as getting access to a homeless population or in a more informal group of friends, something like that, we may need to find someone called a key informant. The key informant is someone with a high social standing within the group and can help us, the researcher, become trusted and get access to that group. Part of gaining access is establishing what role we want to play. How are we going to introduce ourselves? How much are we going to participate versus just observe? Where on that spectrum of participant observation to non-participant observation are we going to fall? Are we going to do something called covert research, where we hide the fact that we're doing research? This is ethically tenuous, but might be necessary if we're looking at illegal activities or particularly dangerous groups. Part of how we establish our role will decide what level of access we get. If we tend to be less participant, we may have less access. If we try to be more participant, we may have more access. Once we've gained access, established our role, we can begin recording our observations and collecting our data. And this can take a few forms. We can do video or audio recordings. This is an easy and thorough way of getting our data, but can be intrusive and off-putting for people if we're constantly shoving a camera or microphone in people's faces. It's also difficult to do in group settings where there's a lot going on. A microphone may not be able to pick up all the different conversations and things happening. We can also write down observations. This can also be distracting or intrusive if we're sitting in the corner writing in a notebook or talking to someone and writing something down. It's more effective when in groups, but looks weird in certain settings. Lastly, we have memory. This is the least intrusive way of collecting our data, but it is also the least reliable because it relies on our memory. We can use field jottings, which are short notes or quotes that we can write down either in a notebook or on an app on our phone to help with that memory. But ideally, when doing memory-based observations, we need to get home and record and write down our full field notes as soon as possible. In terms of recording our observations, we should try to record everything and anything. Leave nothing out. Be concrete, specific, and detailed in your notes, and don't filter things out. Just get everything down. Avoid adding your own thoughts and feelings, at least initially. So use, at least at the beginning, a thin description where you just record your observations and descriptions of what is happening, instead of using thick description, which you can add later on if you choose, which means that you would include motives, intentions, meanings, and your interpretation of what's going on rather than just a description. So again, thin description, just record what's going on. Thick description, adding in interpretations of what's going on. If you do add your thoughts or feelings, use a labeling strategy. Make it clear what's the difference between your observations and your personal reactions, opinions, or interpretations. I give an example here below. Student is staring out window with hand on cheek. That's my observation. My interpretation is that the student seems bored, and I want to make sure that I'm clear that I don't know if that student is bored, but that is my interpretation of what is happening. Data analysis in observational or field research takes place immediately and occurs throughout the process of data collection. So it occurs concurrently or simultaneously with the recording of our data. In order to analyze data, we want to look for patterns. So we want to organize our information and identify those patterns. This is called coding, in which we use symbols or numbers or different color highlighter, whatever it is, to organize our field notes and start to categorize ideas, themes, behaviors, etc. We then develop these ideas by writing frequent memos that attempt small pieces of analysis in order to begin developing more elaborate theories. And then we want to draw and verify your conclusions by then going out and getting more observations so that you can rule out competing explanations, improving our internal validity here. The process of working from observations to theories is called grounded theory, and it is an inductive type of research. Again, when we move from observations to patterns to theory, that's inductive. Essentially, your analysis of data will lead you to generate new theories or hypotheses. So, field research gives us an insider's view of reality. This is called an emic perspective. It's useful when trying to preserve whole complex events, situations, or phenomena, and it is very detailed. And it can provide data on difficult to study populations, such as people who are participating in illegal activities, marginalized people like homeless, undocumented folks. On the downside, field research is incredibly time-consuming, costly, and difficult to implement. And it doesn't allow for much generalizability or external validity because we're not using any sort of probability sampling typically with field research. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.